I'm really honored to call him my friend. He's been around these shows for a few years now, and every time I see him, he just goes a little bit higher up on the pedestal with me. And when you hear his story, I think you're going to see why I'm saying that. He owns a company up in Chattanooga called Garage Bound LLC. He is a welder. He's a fabricator, as seen on Monster Garage and a few other TV shows. But it's my pleasure to bring up Mr. Michael Brandt. Yeah, he's the guy with the really cool dog in the back.
That's my little sidekick, Bachi. He's a good boy. I'm excited to see so many people here. My name is Michael Brandt. I own a custom fabrication and mobile welding service in Chattanooga, Tennessee called Garage Bound LLC. And I'm one of the lucky people that gets to go to work every day and do what I do and not hate my job. So one of the fringe benefits is taking my dogs to work every day with me. That's a really cool thing that most people don't get to have the opportunity to do. But first I want everybody to take out their phones and give me a follow on Instagram. Yeah, can you do that?
You can link some pretty cool stuff.
All right. Instagram is Garage Bound with a B, LLC. Garage Bound LLC. And we're gonna have fun for a minute. I'm gonna walk the crowd and throw out some gifts of stuff that I use in my industry. Some cool goggles, t-shirt, stickers. Oh, okay, there's lots of people, so I'll try to get around. I don't have something for everyone, but I do have some cool things. Listen.
I follow.
Listen.
I follow.
Alright, listen. Brand new pair of Miller TIG welding gloves. Right? But you have to DM me your best weld. Alright? I'm gonna pick the best looking weld because I want these to go to a welder, right? I want somebody who's gonna use these. And you'll have to come to my booth to pick them up. But we have some other stuff, okay?
I wish that thing worked. I wish that GoPro worked.
We have more stickers at the booth, so y'all come back and get a sticker. The dog, he accepts like beef jerky donations and stuff. I appreciate it. I'd like your undivided attention now. You know, when I was in high school and middle school, I was one of the guys sitting next to all my buddies, poking them, you know, and trying to carry on and being disrespectful to the speakers. But I'm here with a message from my life experience, and I want to share with you guys to hope that I can get some of you to come up on the right side of the fence, where the grass is green, right? So I came from a broken home. You know, when I was 10 years old, my parents divorced, and then one of the things that was so damaging to me was that I had all this free time to go and do whatever I wanted to do with very little parental support or guidance, right? So age 10, I was hanging out with all the high schoolers, smoking pot, drinking beer, having a great time. That brings me to another fact, that I know for a fact there's people in this room doing activities like that, right? It's just part of it. It might be fun for a while, but my experience landed me in federal prison. Right? It did, so. You can look at it like this. You can be the cool guy now, right? Get high, get drunk, do all the partying and stuff like that. But for me, and it's going to be like this for a lot of you, I had no off switch. I became dependent upon it. So getting high and stuff was fun for a long time when I could turn it on and off as I wanted to, but it became a point where I had to do it to function. And I couldn't do anything else unless I was under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And that's where life got dangerous for me. In 2001, I was arrested by the DEA, the FBI, the IRS was there. I had all these automatic weapons in my face. You know, I was dealing drugs. I was dealing 7 to 10 pounds of meth a week, up to 6 pounds of coke, you know, 5 or 6 pounds of pot. Yeah, I was really good at it. So, it was no joke. It wasn't fun. You know, I remember when I met, like, say for instance, I had this family of people that I had met. They had a house, they had cars, you know, their kids were fed and clothed. And then by the time I was done selling drugs to them, their kids were dirty, you know, no clean clothes, they weren't getting fed, they were living in a crack hotel day by day, they didn't have any cars anymore, and guess most of that money came to me for their drugs, right? And I felt huge amounts of guilt for that. You know, so when I got arrested and I had all those automatic weapons in my face, you know, I took a deep breath and I told myself, I don't have to do this anymore, you know? And you might think you're slick and you might think you'll get away with things for a period of time, and you probably will, but I guarantee at some point in time, somebody will tell on you. Your friends, your bros, when it comes down and they got pressure on them and they're gonna do time, they're gonna rat you out, and then you're gonna sit there suffering all the consequences, and could be multiple years, you know, that you lose your life, and for, you know, partying basically, right? I sold all those drugs so I could do as much drugs as I wanted to for free. That was one of the things. I remember one time I was in jail for something, and I'd been high for a really long time, and I had a tooth that needed to be pulled, and I went to see the dentist, and I had track marks on my arms, and the dentist was like, "We can't pull your tooth today. You have to stay off drugs long enough so that our drugs will keep it to where it doesn't hurt when we pull this tooth out," right? Well, I couldn't stay off drugs long enough, and so that tooth never got pulled until I went to jail. And guess what? They used no drugs to pull that tooth out, and it hurt, right? So there's a good side and a bad side to every story. You know, I was able to, when I was incarcerated, I somehow figured out early on in my incarceration that helping others somehow helped me, right? And I was at a maximum security prison in Atwater, California, and every gang imaginable was there. You had all the Norteños, the Sureños, all the skinhead gangs, all, you know, the East Coast and West Coast black gangs. I mean, I was just a little skinny white boy from Idaho, you know, scared every day. Scared of my own race. Because the way it works there in federal prison is like, my best buddy was a bank robber from Compton. He was an African American guy. And if he and I got caught like smoking a cigarette together or sharing a meal together, the skinheads would come and actually stab me for it. You know, I never lived in a segregated environment. I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic community, you know, in Oregon, and then, you know, we were all having a good time. My friends and I played soccer on soccer teams and stuff like that, and then come, you know, toward the end of middle school, they're all joining gangs and starting to want to kill each other, and I just didn't get it, man, you know? So I grew up in a mixed culture. And then here I was placed in this prison to where I was pretty much forced to hang out with these knuckleheads that are doing drugs and drinking beer and wine or whatever they got out on the recreation yard, you know? And then they have all these double standards, like, I'm gonna get stabbed if I smoke a cigarette with my buddy because he's black, yet these guys can do drugs that were smuggled into the prison in who knows anal cavity, and somehow that was okay. And this ain't a joke, this ain't pretty stuff, but that's what you'll have to look forward to if you choose a life of alcohol, drugs, and criminality like I did, right? I learned real quick I'm not a tough guy, right? I needed to find some skills to be able to, you know, maintain my safety. Every day, all I paid for while I was incarcerated was my safety. I didn't really feel like I deserved much else because of the damage I created in the communities I was in, you know? Taking advantage of people, taking their money, bringing them down by keeping them high and taking all their money for drugs. It just was horrible, right? So, I taught the GED program, and that put me in a really unique place. One of the smartest things I did when I dropped out of high school in 11th grade is I went and got my GED. And how I accomplished that, I have no idea, because I was just as screwed up then as any other time. But I did, and that allowed me to teach the GED program while I was incarcerated, and it allowed me to teach Bloods. It allowed me to teach the Crips, all the Norteños, the Sonoreños, and even, you know, the skinhead gangs. And that put me in a unique position because when things got really tense, you know, with racial wars and stuff on the prison yard, they all said, "Leave him alone. The teacher, he helps all of us." I'm like, what that big dude said, leave me alone, right? So that was my saving grace. And that taught me that helping others helped me. And that's why I'm here today, because somebody here in this room needs to hear my message. And I'm just planting seeds. I don't expect to turn your life around if you're having a hard time right this second. But I do expect that one point in time in your life, you'll remember this conversation, maybe even reach out to me, right? And let me guide you from my experience. I'm never the type of person that's going to tell anybody what to do, but just offer different solutions that I know will be productive, safe, healthy, and in that person's best interest long term. So that was my crazy past, right? Today, life is really good. Today, I own a business, like I said. I bring my dogs to work. I get to travel when I can afford to, which is way more than I probably should. Right? We take a lot of trips. I have cool toys. We got a Packard that we made, big old four-wheel drive Packard dually with the 454, and that thing just rips. And then I rolled it, so now we have to rebuild it. But the cool thing with welding and fabrication, and that all started for me with Legos. When I was a kid, all I wanted for birthdays, Christmas, was Legos. Except for the Diamondback bicycle I never got. I got some Bobo bicycle from like Walmart or something. But anyway, in welding and fabrication, the only thing that you're going to be limited to is some skills, some equipment, and your imagination, right? So if you liked Legos when you were a kid, you probably really enjoy the fabrication and welding industry because it's like Legos on steroids, right? I have a Lego pile on my table, and I'm watching that Lego pile, and I'm watching for the kids to come up there that are big enough that the welding hood will fit on their head, and then I'll take them over to a virtual reality welding system. If they like that, then I'll take them right to the welding table, and I'll teach them how to weld aluminum and stainless. As long as that welding hood fits on your head, you can do it, kid. Some of these kids are amazing from playing video games. They have all this great hand-eye coordination and can score like massive points on this virtual reality welding simulator with one hand, and it just boggles my brain how they're able to do that. So my industry knows no discrimination. It doesn't care if you're Hispanic, it doesn't care if you're white, it doesn't care if you're black. There is room in our industry for people that want to be craftsmen. And I think a lot of parents these days miss the boat by telling their kids, you will go to college, you will do this, you know. If you know that you don't like school, you don't like testing, you don't like a scholastic atmosphere, you know, don't go. Don't waste your time. You know, go to a post-secondary school that has a skill, a trade that you can learn. You know, this is not to brag, but I don't have any college degree. I went to college for like 6 semesters and hated every minute of it. All I wanted to do was be in my garage building things, working with my hands. So I quit college and I did that. I kept building and buying more and more tools. And, you know, now my business supports me and my family and the family of 4 other people, and we do over $300,000 a year in sales. And I didn't need a college degree to do that. But I do feel, had I known at the time that I was going to have my own business, I would have at least got a basic accounting degree so I could do all my own QuickBooks that I have to pay $800 a month to have somebody else do. And I would have got a small business degree because that would have helped me to be more successful. But how I've been successful to the point I am is I have mentors in my life, right? I have so many different mentors that I'm so blessed to have. Like, I didn't know what a healthy relationship was growing up, so guess what? I surround myself with other couples that I feel, from the outside looking in, have a healthy relationship. And that's how I learn, by emulating, by asking questions of what it is to have a healthy relationship, right? I have some mentors in business. I have one mentor that's ex-CIA, right? Didn't know that for like several years until after I was hanging out with him, but he's got some of the coolest stories. He'll start And then he stops and walks away. I'm like, oh, you can't leave me hanging like that, right? Let's see high stories. And then I have some mentors that they'll be flying around the world, jet setting everywhere. Like, might spend a couple days at the house, but then he's someplace else in some different country. And I can text him, and he always respond to me and tell me the information that I need. But if you're gonna be a good mentee, if you have some people in your life that are sharing information with you, don't ever tell them, oh yeah, I know. Because what they're gonna tell you right behind what that statement is, be humble, even if you know it, just listen, could knock your socks off and be life-changing for the rest of your life, right? Those are the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with. You will be who you surround yourself with, I guarantee it. You know, so these days I try to surround myself with people that don't do alcohol, don't do drugs, that are successful in business, that have many meaningful relationships that they're able to manage in their lives. That's the kind of person I want to be these days. You can be whatever you want to be. You can build anything that you want to build. You can do whatever you want to do, right? But don't do it on your own. Get some successful people in your life to lean on, to ask questions about, and they can save you tons of heartache through their life experiences if you just listen. I'm Michael Brand. Come see me at the booth. Whoever sent me, I'm going to be looking at these pictures of these welds. So somebody get these Miller welding gloves. I want them to go to good use. Come see me back there. We got some live arc welding. We have virtual reality welding. All kinds of fun, cool things to look at. If you want to play with Legos, we got Legos. See you. Thanks.